Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. And today's game that we're looking at is 878, Vikings Invasion of England by Academy Games. I picked this up recently, basically because I was looking for a nice, fun, light war game to play with my wife. I do some gaming with her. We do mostly lighter things, Twilight Struggle, things of that nature. Also, thought it'd be a nice intro game for the future for my little guys too, as well. So, been having fun with this. Been working on it a little bit. So I thought I'd share just a simple playthrough. Again, kind of like my previous video I did of the Minutes to Midnight game, just immersive kind of thing. I'm just going to go through the turns, kind of show you how they function and operate, and go over the rules as I go along. So, let's get at it here. This game, as you can see, is basically what it says it is. It's the Viking Invasions of England. And on this particular game, I'm on turn 4, and we're on the first of the 4 faction segments. There are 4 factions altogether. There are the Berserkers, the Norsemen, the Housecarl, and the Vikings on the English side. So this turn here, as you can see here from the block there, it is the Norsemen's turn. So they go ahead and are preparing to initiate their turn, which starts with reinforcements. Now every time one of the Viking factions, either the Norsemen or the Berserkers, go first, they can bring in new reinforcements using the Viking deck. And these are some of the other individuals who already come in, the leaders like Ivar the Boneless. So right now we're going to bring into this new unit here. And the way you bring units onto the board is by playing cards. And you get 3 cards for your particular faction. And here, these cards, as you can see, there's 2 symbols on them. The top number is how many armies you can move, and the bottom number is how many spaces. Now, this is the only movement card I have for the Norsemen, so I'm going to use this, 2 armies, and 4 spaces. So the first thing I'm going to do is activate this leader, shown here by this nice big miniature, which when you look at the actual game pieces there, kind of makes it look like, Godzilla invading Tokyo sort of thing. So he can land anywhere on the North Sea coast. Now, looking at this and kind of working on strategy and such, I think it's important for the Vikings to try and knock out as many reinforcement centers as they can of the English. So, in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and land this Viking army over here on the coast for his first move, and then begin to move him towards this huge center here, hoping to crush this big English army before it has a chance to really get rolling. So, first move he lands there. His second move, he's going to move into here. Now, every time that the English are defending in a city, whether it's reinforcement or regular, they have the opportunity to draw these, basically what I like to call militia cards, if they want to. So I'll go ahead and do that, even though this is kind of a hopeless situation. You can see there's one little tiny guy here against this big Viking army. But we're going to try and give him some help. So I draw the card, and actually, it's one of the stronger ones. It is a 5. So I will go ahead and bring in 5 of these, again, what I call militia. I forget the actual word that's used in the game. And then we'll begin a battle. Now, if you have a leader, like this is Bjorn Ironside, when the leader moves, you move into a space where there's a battle, you pause. You go ahead and fight the battle, and if he has any movement points left over that, you continue to do so. If you have an army, like this here would constitute an army, that is leaderless, you fight battles after they're done, finished moving during the movement segment. So the game has custom dice for all the factions. So the militia have their 2 yellow dice, And then you can roll up to a certain amount of dice for the other English factions, the green and the blue colors there. So I'm just going to use the 1 here because there's only 1 there. Now, defender rolls first and inflicts any kind of damage or casualties, and then you take it from there. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice over here, a little bit off camera. And then I'll show you the results, and we'll implement them. Ooh, not a good start for the English here. So the English got to roll 2 yellow dice, the max for the militia guys, and then 1 green because there's 1 green guy there. Now there's different symbols on the dice. The blank one obviously means nothing happens. The little guy with the shield, well, that's basically the fled dice, which is exactly what's going to happen here. So they're going to flee. Now, when the Thegan or the housecarls flee, they go to this area up here, which is the fled area, which means eventually they can come back during the reinforcement phase of their friendly factions. The militia guys, when they flee, unfortunately, they go back into the reinforcement set because they're gone. They took off. They're not around because, again, they're just kind of temporary guys. So, the Viking army, which Viking armies with leaders, you go ahead and put them on their leader card like I've done here. And Bjorn's bringing all these guys with bad intentions. So we'll roll a dice. And again, I'll show you the result here in a second. And again, there's a maximum number of dice that can be rolled for each faction total. So, the battle axes here are hits. So you can see right here we've got 3 hits altogether. Red dice are for Berserkers, and the black dice are for Norsemen. So, a lot of damage inflicted here. 3 hits on these individuals. Now, the horns are what's called command results. These allow you to basically retreat your troops to a space that's adjacent that has friendly troops in it. But it has to have friendly people there, otherwise you can't move them. Of course, you can ignore those, because it does say in the rule, may. And of course, obviously, the Vikings will do that because, well, there's no reason to retreat. I mean, they basically have the upper hand. Now, with leaders, if you manage to finish off the enemy in 1 round, then you can keep on moving. However, if it takes you 2 rounds or more, you're going to lose 1 of your movement points. So now this army has actually dropped down to only 2 movement points left. First movement point would have landed here on the coast. Second movement point here. And now, it's actually reduced to 1 now because they will lose another movement point because they didn't manage to defeat the army that was there. And unfortunately, the battle is now completely over because the temporary guys, the militia guys, just rolled another fled and they flee from the battle. Now, when the Vikings conquer a space, you have this victory track here. This is one thing I really like about the game because it's quick and easy visual to tell who's winning, how things are going as far as the progress of the conflict goes. So whenever it's conquered, you take one of the markers off here and you place it in the space that was just conquered. And again, as you reveal them, you can see exactly how many spaces that the Vikings currently control. If the Vikings ever control 14 or more at the end of a round, which is all 4 factions playing, they win. If they ever have 0 at the end of a round, then the English automatically win. So now again, the Vikings have 1 more movement point. So the leaders, as they move, can drop off or pick up troops. So he's going to drop off 3 Norsemen and then move in here to battle this bigger army. Now again, the English, in this particular game, I've been using a strategy of trying to wear down the enemy. However, the problem with that strategy is, once this deck here of cards that gives you the yellow troops is gone, it's gone. Those cards are removed from the game. But I'm still trying to wear them down, so I'm going to go ahead and draw one for this battle too, and it is a 3 strength. So that will allow me to add 3. Again, the actual word in the game is different, but I just always call them militia because I just find it easier to do. So, here we go again. Now this is going to be a big battle because basically all the factions for the English will get to roll their full amount of dice. Yellow, 2 is the most they can roll, green is 3, and blue is 2. So here we go. So, no. 2 fled results from my militiamen. What are they doing? Well, I mean, they are militia, so they're not really prepared for this sort of thing. House Carl did a little bit better. They inflicted 1 hit, and they have 1 fled. And then the Thegans, well, they have 2 commands and a fled. So you always resolve the hit first. So the hits are going on the Vikings first. Now, when the Vikings attack and have a Berserker unit, that one always takes the first hit. So now we have to deal with all these fled ones. Well, 2 of the yellow militiamen, they're gone. 1 of the blue guys heads off to the fled space, and then 1 of the green guys does now too. Now, I could, with these 2 commands, I could retreat these guys into this adjacent space to try and fortify this and hold on to it. So I think I actually will do that, hoping that since I know the Vikings are out of movement points for this particular army, I can hang on here a little bit later. Now, the Vikings attack with their Berserkers, and of course then their Norsemen as well, launching their wave of assault. And they score a couple of hits, so I'll take my militia guy out of the way, and I'll take out one of my House Carl guys and return them to their respective holding areas. And then they also had 1 fled result too, so 1 of their Norsemen is going to end up here, and again can be brought in as a reinforcement the next time the Norse faction is played. So obviously in the battles, and I should mention with the battles that you basically fight them to the finish. There's no running away, there's no taking off here, there's no voluntary retreats except for the command results on the dice. So, the 2 English factions that are left, they get a hit, so that will eliminate 1 of the Norsemen, and the blue one can do a retreat if he wants. And again, I'm going to try and go ahead and wear them down, so I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that command one and pull out of the battle. And now the Vikings have their turn and a chance to attack. And right off the bat, the Berserkers score a hit. And that's going to be the end of that. So again, another control marker is taken and placed on the space. Now the Vikings can move a second army if they want. But most of the other Viking troops that are on the map right now are basically holding on to victory spaces. Look here, especially in the southern part of England, they've really been active. That's where it kind of began all the invasions. So I really don't want to move any of those armies. And you can't have troops move more than once in a turn. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the turn here. And by doing so, you draw a new card for that faction. Now, when you draw cards, and there are basically 2 types of cards. There are the movement cards, like this. And then there are event cards like this. Event cards give you information about how you can use it, when you can use it, and also the different colors here will tell you what turns you can use it. So this card can be used at any time, really, with any player turn. Whereas this card can only be used during both the green and the blue faction player turns. Now, if you ever have a hand where you don't have a movement card, then you have to shuffle the cards back in and then draw 3 more cards and do this until you either have one of the movement cards or one of the treaty cards, which also basically doubles as a movement card too. And now, the Vikings really having the upper hand here. The next faction is going to be the Berserkers. However, for the Vikings, there is a little bit of a problem too, because they don't have a whole lot of strength right now. They could press their luck and try to move the Viking army against another English spot that is weak if they wanted to. The Berserkers have several movement cards here in hand. But, you know, just to show you how the English work, I'm going to go ahead and basically skip that and let them go ahead and draw the next faction die, which is a green one. So now the green faction, the Thegan, I think I'm pronouncing that right, will have their chance to go ahead and take their turn at this point in time. So actually what I might do here is I might go ahead and pause this, because actually this turn took a little bit longer than I thought it would, and I don't like to make my videos too long. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pause this. I'll show you the other rest of the turn using the two factions here in another video that I'll go ahead and post in a little bit to again just show you a full turn of how this game works, the 878 Viking. So for the time being, this is Tim Korchnoi from Bones Wargaming, wishing you victory and good times in your games, and I'll be back with another episode to finish this demonstration.